Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to never miss any updates. So, hi Germinal, welcome to the show. And first of all, before we get started, I want you to introduce yourself. What do you do and what is your profession so that our audience can know about you?
Sure. My name is Germinal Van, and I work as an economist and data analyst too. So I work as an economist for myself. I write books, and I work as a data analyst for a company called Primary Intelligence, which is based in the state of Utah. And I live in Chicago. So it's a virtual company, and we work on market research. So we use quantitative tools to understand consumer behaviors and help companies know how they can improve their performances. And so I was born and raised in Ivory Coast, which is a French-speaking country in West Africa. And I did my schooling there until college. And once I got to college, I moved to the United States and I studied political science.
Okay.
I got a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in political management. I never took a class of economics in my life. And today I'm working in economics. In fact, I trained myself in the field. As I said, I never took a class. I never knew before what was supply and demand, those curves, none of that. So it was a journey, but it was a very interesting journey, and I
Okay.
must say that I'm glad to be where I'm at today.
Okay. So, I in your Instagram profile and in your YouTube channel, I saw that you have written nearly 16 books on economics.
I
So,
have, uh, yeah, I mean, I have a total of 19 books.
oh, that's
Yeah.
great. But when did you think that you should go ahead with the field of writing?
Okay, that's actually an interesting question. So it was in 2018. I always wanted to write a book in my life. In fact, I always knew that I was going to write a book in my life at some point. But before I wanted to be a politician. That's
Oh,
even why I studied political science. I wanted to be a politician. So, when you're a politician, you have to write a book. When you go in campaign, it's a way, to get the voters to know you and to also make some money in the process. And, but I never thought of writing my career. Like,
hmm.
you know, I never thought of doing that as a profession, as a job, as a vocation, if I can put it that way. Because there's a difference between your job and your vocation. And so I never thought of doing that as a vocation. To me, I thought that, I will write a book when I'm much older and stuff like that. So I wanted to go to law school. And that was after my master's. I wanted to go to law school. And I took the LSAT. I don't know if you guys are taking the LSAT in India, but here in the United States, you have to take the LSAT to get into law school. I think in India, law school is at the bachelor's level, right? After high school, I think
Yes,
you can
yes,
study
yes.
law.
You
Yeah,
can have
exactly.
a bachelor degree of that.
Yeah, in the United States, it's not the case.
Okay.
It's a postgraduate. It's a
Okay.
post undergraduate degree. So you have to take an entrance exam and then the LSAT. And I took the LSAT 3 times, and it was hard. And so there was the language. There was the language barrier that was already a problem, and you have like 35 minutes for 25 questions, and you have to think on your feet. Yeah, it's very challenging. So, but I still got into 2 law schools, but it wasn't the law schools that I wanted to go to. So I felt that I had to do something to compensate that. And I always enjoy writing. In fact, I started writing when I was 16. Writing is not
Oh,
something I started. Yeah, I've been writing for a long time. But the problem was that I was not able to complete the writing. What I mean by complete is that you start, but you don't finish it. So
okay.
I wasn't able to finish it. And this time in 2018, I was like, I have to finish it. So when I was finally able to finish it, that was probably the proudest moment of my life after my marriage with my wife. And that's when I officially published my first book, which I write, no, which I wrote in a matter of months. I was writing every day for 9 hours. Yeah, I was dedicated to it. And then once I finally published it and I held the book in my hand, it was a great feeling. It's, I don't know how to explain it, but you actually have to experience it to understand what I mean. It's like being elected president. Only the person who's been elected can understand what it means. So once that was done, then writing books became almost a joke because the first publishing the first one is always the hardest. Once that
Yeah,
is done, the
definitely.
yeah, the rest becomes easy. So yeah, it's and I start at first in political science, legal theory, and then I got into economics after my fifth book when I started learning about libertarianism. But we will get into that at some point. But that's how pretty much I got into writing.
Also, yeah, that's amazing that it has been 19 books, as you just said, and it's not that easy. But the
No,
first one is the most difficult, and then you can just continue writing more and more because it becomes more comfortable. The
yep.
flow becomes very comfortable and all such things. So yeah, it's great to have you, and you are doing also great
Thank you.
in the field of economics. So if we start with my first question, which is very popular, and you must have heard a lot, that why rich gets richer and poor gets poor. What are the reasons, what are the economic factors and economic reasons that you consider that rich people get richer no matter what the situation is? If we talk about the COVID-19, we saw that there are a lot of billionaires who have made billions even in the worst case scenario like the COVID. And the poverty increased a lot. The many economies collapsed, and many lower middle class were uh, now in the poverty. So what are your thoughts on this?
So before even getting into the economic part of it, the true reason why the rich get richer and and the poor get poorer, it's simply a matter of mindset. It's psychological because the rich learn how to diversify their money. The rich never rely on one income. The poor gets, as we say in the United States, 9 to 5 job,
Yeah.
and that's it. You will never get rich with your 9 to 5 because your 9 to 5 is simply meant for you to live. And living means you pay your bills, you pay your taxes, and that's it. And the thing is that the rich get richer because before the rich becomes rich, right? Every rich person normally work 9 to 5. But the rich people pay themselves first. What does it mean paying yourself? It means that when you get your salary, you set 15 to 20% aside that you put in your savings and you put in stocks or any other type of investment. Okay, they already saved that, and then the rest they use that to pay the bills immediately. The poor person does the opposite. They they pay whatever bills, and then the rest, that's what they're trying to save or spend. You don't do that. You save first. Saving is investment. You use that money whenever you get your salary at the end of the month. You take 15 to 20% off. You put that in the savings and you allocate that in stocks or other ventures, as I said, and then the rest you pay the bills or spend whatever you want. That's number one. Number two, rich people do not think in terms of consumption; they think in terms of investment. Rich people are not about consuming. Consuming is for poor people. That's why when poor people want to buy things, they always look at the price. Rich people look at the value. And usually, whatever things that is valuable is expensive. because he has value. Why do you think buying real estate is so expensive? Because it increases over time. Rich people will spend money on things they don't need. They will spend money on assets that depreciate, like such as cars. You're gonna go buy a car, take a loan, buy a car, but the minute you start driving that car, the value depreciates. But when you get a real estate, whether it's a condo or a house or whatever, the value will increase over time. You renovate it, and you do all kind of work to match it to the price of the market. So if you buy a condo today, let's say at $300,000, and you decide to sell that condo in 10 or 20 years, you can call your accountant, he's going to, or your real estate agent, they're going to do the math and see what is the value of your condo at the market price of 20 years, at 20 years later. And of course, if you bought it at 300, you're going to sell at probably 6, 7, or even a million. You making
Yeah,
profit off it. This is something that poor people don't do. So this is first of all a mindset behind it. Now, economically speaking, why would the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? The rich have access to resources that allow them to not pay taxes. For
okay,
instance, Amazon. Why Amazon doesn't pay taxes? Because Amazon makes sure that their expenses match their revenue. If your expense match your revenue, there's no tax to pay. You only pay tax on profit. That's what Jeff Bezos does. That's what he does.
so
Yeah,
entrepreneurs always have advantage in paying less taxes.
yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
it is good, it is good according to me. It is just my opinion, because entrepreneurs are giving employment to
Yeah,
thousands of people. So it is
absolutely.
good even if they don't pay taxes, their employees are also paying taxes.
But and it's funny because what people don't understand is that without entrepreneurs, they will have no jobs in the first place. People are complaining, yeah, Jeff Bezos doesn't pay taxes. Yeah, the rich are getting richer. Yeah, but it's because of the rich you're employed. It's because of the rich you're employed, so you can purchase uh, a house or a condo or whatever. So you can purchase a roof where you can live. You can purchase a car for you to move from point A to point B, and you can put your kids to school. How can you send your kid to school without employment, without you paying for the school he goes to? Are you going to send your kid to government-owned school where education is poor because no one cares? So that's the point. Like it's easy to always blame the rich for everything, but without the rich, there is no employment. Without the rich, there is no economy. Simple as that.
Exactly.
There is no economy. They're the one who create the economy. They're the one who have a vision. They create a product or a service that they believe will benefit society. I forgot the name of the founder of Zoom, but today is a billionaire in a matter of a year because of
Exactly.
what he
Yes.
did. But thanks to his product, which is Zoom, I'm talking to you,
Exactly.
right? I'm
And
in
before the
Chicago.
pandemic, it was not that much popular. But
Yeah,
as soon as the pandemic began, it significantly grows. Like
yeah,
it is now at 150 $200 billion company, and that is huge. I mean, surge in market capitalization.
exactly. See, the government we would not do that. The government doesn't create a product like Zoom. This is private initiative, and entrepreneurship is private initiative. So that's why the person who takes the risk to create a product or a service that he or she believes that will benefit society must have the reward of that product or service he created. That's why the
Okay.
rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And let me explain why the poor get poorer economically speaking. The poor do not create, or should I say the middle class, because in fact the poor don't pay taxes. You can't pay taxes if you don't have any income. So the
Yeah.
middle class. So the middle class pays taxes more than anybody else. Why? Because the middle class doesn't create wealth. It's the owners of the means of productions who create wealth. So because the middle class doesn't create wealth, so basically the money they make doesn't contribute directly to the creation of wealth in society. So they get to put the money to work. They get the money. They have to get the money to contribute. So how they make that happen? Through taxes. So that's why
Okay.
they get more. They get taxed more than anybody else because the rich, as I said, they have the resources to afford accountant that would tell them all the legal ways for them to not pay taxes. For instance, if you own a yacht, you can use that as a second home
Yeah.
for you to not pay taxes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
The-
really interesting.
yeah, they're like I watched a video by Elux. It's called 15 ways to avoid paying 15 ways the rich avoid paying taxes. It's on YouTube. You should watch it. They tell you 15 ways, and they're all legal. It's not illegal at all. They're all legal, but that's what rich people do, and you can't get
Yeah.
mad at it. they,
And you cannot
they,
blame for that because it is legal.
yeah, and for instance, why have you noticed that every rich person is buying like art collections?
No, I'm not aware about that.
Oh yeah, rich people always buy like paintings and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Got it.
There's a reason behind it. They don't do it because they love art. Because owning art collection is a way to avoid paying taxes
Oh,
and is a way to also make money on that. Because if you buy an art collection, let's say at $3 million, you can sell that very same art collection at 20 million. I don't know if you're familiar with Ken Griffin. So Ken Griffin is the hedge fund manager of Citadel. Citadel is a very famous hedge fund here in Chicago. It's one of the greatest hedge fund in the world.
okay.
He bought a painting for 80 million. And that
That's
painting is not
huge.
even great. Yeah, 80 million. Why on earth you pay a painting for 80 million? But imagine the day he gets tired of it and he wants to sell it. Imagine the price. And that's what rich
And
people
the price will definitely go up because he has purchased the product, and the person who has purchased the product is already a millionaire.
exactly. Absolutely. Now you understand. Yeah, that's how it works. He's going to sell it at a price that is even much higher than the price at which he bought the collection art originally. That's how it works. Another way is donation. Why do you think billionaires do philanthropy? It's not because they have a great heart. Maybe some of them do. Sure, I can't say all of them are manipulated, but the reason behind it, of course, is monetary. Because when you do donations, you don't pay taxes because you donate your money to charity for a good cause.
Yeah.
It's legal.
So this
You
is
see,
how the
so
system works, right?
yeah. So rich people know how to take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
Poor people don't.
Yeah.
So now the question is, how can a poor person becomes rich? The very sure way is to create a company. You create a
Yeah.
company that sells a product or a service that you believe would benefit people.
Exactly.
That's how you do. Because companies are like real estate, they increase in value over time.
Because see, people argue that. Sorry for interruption.
No, no,
People
no worries.
people argue that poor people have less resources available, but if we compare with the generational, for example, our parents had less resources than ours, and our grandparents has had almost no resources to start any business kind of stuff. We are living in the world of technology, and it is very easy to start a business. It is, we can just start our online business in just a one day. It is that simple, but
Oh
still
yeah.
people believe that it is hard to do any kind of business. It is hard to develop a product and services and all kind of stuff. It is hard to buy sellers and all such things. So it's like people are most people are not feeling comfortable to adopt the entrepreneurial thing, right? It is my opinion. So what do you think about that?
I agree with your opinion. But the thing is, let me add to it. The thing is that if you're not comfortable creating an online business, if you have now resources available to you and you're not comfortable and you're not comfortable doing it, then don't complain about the fact that the rich are getting richer.
That's the point.
Yeah. So don't complain about it because, as you said, at the time of our grandparents, they had literally no resources, and yet they still managed to create something of value. Our parents had more resources than our grandparents, but our parents did not have the resources that we had, and yet
Yeah.
they still managed through it and create things of value. Now, as you say, us like all you need sometimes like to create your own business, you can simply create a podcast. You already have a podcast,
Yeah.
and people, I don't know how you monetize it, but I guess if your podcast is famous enough, people pay to listen to you. Simple as that.
It's a long term process, but you have to
Yeah,
trust the journey.
exactly. And that's the thing. It's because people want instant gratification.
Yeah,
Value takes time. Why
exactly.
do you think a real estate increase in value over time? There's a reason. Let me give you a very simple example. Have you heard of Warren Buffett?
Yeah. I consider him as a mentor.
Exactly. And you're right for doing so. And the company that he owns, it's called Berkshire Hathaway. He's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. And when he started, Berkshire Hathaway, the stock price of Berkshire Hathaway was $18 in the 50s or 60s. Do you know how much the stock costs today?
Nearly $350,000 or so, according to me,
No,
as I just last heard.
you're kind of close. $400,000.
Oh my God.
And you know what is $400,000? This is the salary of the president of the United States.
Oh,
One stock of Berkshire Hathaway equals the salary of the president of the United States. Think about this for a second.
unbelievable amount of
Right?
wealth.
But what happened is because Berkshire Hathaway grew in value over time. That's why Warren Buffett is so rich. Not because of his salary. Warren Buffett's salary is $100,000. That's actually his salary. That's why he pays himself.
Yeah.
But the stock of his company, the ownership he has over Berkshire Hathaway, and the fact that Berkshire Hathaway owns other companies such as Geico are the reason why he's one of the richest people on the planet.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
And majority of the company he owns are in the Fortune 500. So they are
Yep.
already massive companies at
Oh,
the
yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
So you said that about instant gratification. I would like to add two more points over here that I've heard that I've observed not only in India but also in the United States, people are so fascinating towards stock market and crypto trading because they want to make quick money just like that. And if we talk about, especially if we talk about cryptocurrency, you will see that there is a massive amount of volatility is there. So you can see that in just 1 week, the market cap of uh, like crypto can fall down by 40 to 50%. That's very normal in the world of crypto, but still people would do it because they want quick money.
And that's a problem. You see, it's deeper than economics. As I said, it's psychological
Yeah.
and it's even sociological. People don't understand that everything starts. I'm not even religious, but it's written in the Bible.
Okay.
When God cursed Adam, he said, "You will have to work to the sweat of your forehead to earn your bread." That is the most powerful phrase ever. It tells you everything you need to know about the human condition. Is to say that no matter what you do, any things of value, you have to work for it. It means that it will take time. You will not see the
Yeah.
result immediately. That's what it means. So there is no escalator uh, or there is no how we call it.
Lottery
Uh,
winning kind of facilities.
yeah, you have to take the stairs.
Yeah.
You have to take each step to get to the top. There's no escalator. There is no elevator. Yeah, elevator. That's how
Yeah.
we call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think in India you guys call it like lift, something like that.
Yeah,
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 when
yeah.
so that's what it is. You do not get rich by Ponzi scheme. You do not
Yeah.
get rich by shortcuts.
Yeah, and these
No.
days it is like crypto is like pump and dump strategy.
Yeah, and I think crypto is going to collapse. It's a matter of time.
Yeah,
This thing and people say, oh yeah, like crypto is better than the dollar. But here's the thing: crypto has no intrinsic value. People will say, yeah,
exactly.
but the dollar doesn't have also intrinsic value. But that what is the difference between the dollar and crypto? Although the dollar is just paper, the dollar is legal tender. It is
Yeah,
backed by the United States government. That's number one. And number two, the dollar is used all across the world because we trust it, because we agree to use it as the medium of exchange. If I decide today to go to Mumbai or to New Delhi, I don't have the Indian's rupee. But if I give you a dollar, you will take that dollar because you trust it. You say, hey,
yeah,
no matter where you go, that's where we use.
yeah. I will simply convert. I will simply convert rupee into. I will simply sorry dollar into rupee, and it's that simple.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But crypto doesn't have that power.
Yeah, I
It
mean
doesn't.
everything as I don't know why, but some people are so much optimistic about crypto. So we are not going into that topic. I, being a value investor and being a hardcore believer of long-term investing, I also
Me
believe that
too. Me
crypto
too.
cryptocurrency has no value.
Do you do fundamental analysis?
Yeah, I mean not thoroughly, but I checked about revenue, profit, and debt and all such things, which are very basic in
Yeah,
fundamental analysis. But I can
yeah,
say, yeah, I do some little kind of fundamental analysis while
yeah.
investing.
Because in finance you have fundamental analysis and technical analysis.
Yeah.
I mean, I do technical analysis for short term, but I also have my long term
Okay.
stocks, and the stocks I have are basically bonds and commodities.
Okay.
That it's there, I don't touch it.
Oh,
So the way it works is that I have three stocks that are just something that I can switch, I can like sell and buy for the short term. And then I have two stocks. One is a bond and one is a commodity. That one is for the long term. I don't touch it. It's like locked. That's how
okay.
I invest. So I do
Yeah.
technical, and of course I also do fundamental analysis.
Okay. So if we move ahead,
Mhm.
what do you think about the future of American economy? I mean, if we talk about the history, that it according to me, as far as I know, that it all the revolution started when the when the Silicon Valley was found, like the tech businesses established, like Intel, HP, then Apple, Microsoft, then we can say Amazon, Google, Facebook, all these tech companies started establishing business, and they started going global, and they are now $1 billion of revenue, and they are making billions of profit. So we can say it all began massive surge in the US economy began when the technological revolution occurred in that. But right now, if we focus that, it is almost saturated, and according to me the US economy is focusing more on space travel and Mars kind of thing. So what do you believe on that? Because the next big thing, US economy always focuses on innovation, as far as I know. And as the tech startups have saturated their limit, and the next big thing I consider is space. So what do you think about that?
I mean, space is definitely up there, but even before space is even like long term. It's artificial intelligence.
Okay.
It's robotics. Even in professions such as law, people are creating robots that are going to work as paralegals. So the job of paralegals is going to be extended very soon. So it's
Okay.
in fact it's robotics. Now, what I'm more intrigued about is how people will find a way to implement consciousness into robots.
Yeah.
That's scary
and
because
and people
the
will do
feeling
it.
I
I'm
know
sure
because
the
all
researchers will definitely do it.
you need is a mad scientist find the magical formula of how to implement consciousness into robots. Because the minute robots are able to think for themselves, I think we're done as humans. So that's why it will be important as well to implement regulations on how technology is going, because it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Robots are going to be created and to take to I mean they'll be created to perform jobs, that
Yeah.
humans actually do. Like okay, plumber, I don't know. Plumber is a job that has been existing for a very long time. But knowing human beings, how human love innovation, people will find a way to create robots that will do uh, plumber jobs or carpentry, something like that. They're already creating, as I said, they're already creating robots to do paralegal work,
Okay.
legal research, or anything. It's a matter of time before they even start creating robots that will become lawyers.
Okay. Yeah. I
Yes.
mean,
So it's scary. So and the space race has always been there since the 60s. People always wanted to find human beings have always been curious about space, intrigued, I would say, because human beings are fundamentally convinced that the earth is not the only place where
yeah.
living beings exist.
Yeah.
That's why they're up there. They're convinced that there is another planet, where that's why the concept of aliens started. There are people like us who may have different cultures, different values, who live somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And on top of that, they want to check if planet like Mars is where, if it's possible for us to settle there. I don't know, man. Like personally, the space thing, I'm not too thrilled about it. I think it's like their deal. I think on Earth we already have too many problems already
Yeah.
before focusing on like somewhere that is not even close to us. But like the future of the US economy is basically robotics.
Okay.
A lot of things will become automatic. People are losing their jobs, and COVID showed it. COVID showed, because what happened with COVID is that the economy took the shape of a K.
Yeah.
What is that shape of a K? So people who are in tech or know anything that is quantitative, so if you know statistics, econometrics, math, and coding, stuff like that, people who are in those fields, they went up. But people who are in doing physical work, such as like barber, server, all these jobs,
Restaurants, aviation sector.
they all went down.
Yeah.
That's the K shape. So it's like, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
So if I go ahead with that particular point, that the COVID has completely changed the way, I mean, people live. So what do you think that when will all this recover, or they all or all these businesses will have to shift their business model to some level in the field of technology?
yeah. So for instance, one thing like restaurants, for instance, will have to do is to create delivery services now,
Yeah,
so
like
that
in the US, you have DoorDash.
yeah, so that people can order online and then the food get delivered to their place rather than going, sitting at the restaurant. So yeah, that's how to compete. Even for barbers, I don't know, but we must also be realistic to some extent.
Okay.
We are human beings, and although the virtual world, the technological world is great in terms of having access to resources and stuff, we're still human beings, and we still to deal with organic stuff. You know what I mean? Like we still need to touch things, like
Yeah.
because we are. At the end of the day, a bus driver remains like you can drive a bus through the computer.
Yeah.
This is something technology can't really do much about it, right? Or like uh I'm thinking of like something else that would be hard to replace with technology. Like, yes, people are already creating cars that can drive themselves without you being behind the wheel.
We can
But that's
also say psychological consulting and all such things which require human interaction, personal human
exactly
interaction.
exactly because exactly when you go see a psychologist, you want to talk to
Yeah,
someone. And human connection is something that technology will have a hard time replacing.
yeah,
Even it's the same, like even when people have sex with like sex dolls
yeah,
and they start falling in love with the doll, but it's a doll.
yeah.
It's a doll, and the doll cannot talk back to you.
There is
But
no human interaction in that.
exactly, but if you're having sexual relationship with a human being, then there is a connection. There is a connection because the feelings are being either reciprocated or you getting or she rejects you and you're heartbroken, blah blah blah. But the point is that there is a human interaction, and I don't know how technology will be able to completely replace human interaction. And human interactions are important because at the end of the day, what we see in the virtual world is based on the real world. When you see someone on Instagram showing himself or herself at the beach, is because that person is actually at the beach. Right? It's because that
Yeah,
person is actually at the beach. So the real world remains a real world and it is important and we still have to preserve it. I'm a strong proponent of technology. In fact, I'm like in the process of creating my own online business very soon. So I'm a strong proponent of that. But we are human beings and we need to maintain our nature as human beings and human interaction.
yeah, yeah. That's really, your thoughts are really great towards, I mean, why human interaction is very much important in our everyday's life.
Yeah.
So the next thing, which is really fascinating for me because I always wanted to know this, but eventually when I tried to find on the internet, I didn't get the proper answer. So the question is, what does it mean by having huge gold reserves and crude oil in America? I mean, it's like when I heard that US is printing trillions for stimulus, the reason is said that they have a good amount of gold reserve and crude oil. So even if their economic crisis, the country will definitely survive because they have the gold reserves and crude oil. So what does it mean by that, and how can we relate it with the printing money and giving it to the people?
Well, the thing with crude oil is that oil is used literally every day for almost everything, and oil is even what we use to for for gasoline. So if the price of gasoline is increasing significantly, then the price of crude oil is also going to increase significantly. If you look at the Venezuelan economy, for instance, why the Venezuelan economy collapsed? Because they based their entire economy on
Yeah,
oil reserve. So the minute the price of oil tanked, the Venezuelan economy tanked too. Oil
yeah,
is always using. Oil is a commodity. Now I don't know to what extent people will continue to rely on oil. That's what they create. They're creating like ecological technology where we won't have to rely too much on oil and gas and pollute the air and stuff like that. The people are working on that, but for now, oil still plays a very important role. So based on the price of oil, the Federal Reserve determines how much money they can print.
yeah,
It's called quantitative easing, and so it's like based on at the price that other countries are willing to pay the oil reserve of the United States. The Federal Reserve determines, okay, if the oil reserve costs, I don't know, X amount, we're going to print Z amount to equate that. So that's how they proceed. So oil is still very relevant for the US economy because we use energy for everything.
yeah,
Cars, for engine. We use it in a ton for a ton of things. I can even cite like the examples, but I know that like cars is the primary reason why we use crude oil because there's no gasoline without crude oil.
Yeah, aviation is the biggest sector, we should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, also the another thing that pops up in my mind is the defense sector. Historically, it is being observed that uh, defense sector, defense-based companies are one of the most profitable because
Oh yeah.
they sell products to another rival countries. For instance, the United States sell products to Pakistan, which is a rival country of India,
Mm-hmm.
and Russia sells products to India. And this is how the system works, right? Israel, US, and Israel combine develop products, and they are like friendly countries. Everything happens in Israel. US will say that don't worry, we are with you. So this is how the businesses are working across the globe, that defense sector is the key thing. No matter how good the situation is, the countries will keep buying more and more equipments, and the country will ensure that they don't make any kind of compromises in their national security.
Well, I mean, as we say, peace through strength.
Yeah.
You know, since nuclear weapons exist, they they've not been used, and unless for Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah.
That's the only time. And honestly, they used that. There was no reason to use the nuclear weapons either. Truman used the nuclear weapons in Nagasaki and Hiroshima just to show to the world how powerful the
How
United States.
powerful the United. Yeah, exactly.
That's the true reason. Because because usually whenever they develop a new bomb, they go into the desert and they do the
Yeah.
experience there. But this time they want to experience it on people to see the actual effect, like what it
Actual
would do.
destruction.
Yeah, and they saw and they're like, okay, no. And so nuclear weapons have been used as a way to keep peace. I remember I took a class in college called Politics and Military Strategy. It was one of the best classes I took in political science. It's all about national security and how like nuclear weapons, in fact, are defensive weapons. They're not
Yeah.
offensive weapons. You have them to tell others that hey, don't mess with me. Look at India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan is just two countries of the same people. Let's be honest. It's like the British and the Irish. It's the same people.
Yeah.
Pakistanis are Indians who are Muslims, period. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But because of
Yeah, you know very much about India and
Oh, yeah.
Pakistan. That's really great thing.
oh yeah, trust me, I know a little bit. I don't know too much about India, but
Yeah.
I know some things about India, and because of religion, that's why they separate, and both got nuclear
Yeah.
weapons. Now they've been
It was a strategy of Britishers, like divide and rule. Can you
yeah,
hear what I?
and now
Yeah.
the Nazi hate each other.
Sorry.
I say because you know each country, so Pakistan and India both got their nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
There's peace,
Yeah.
but it's not because there's peace that they're best friends. They nicely hate each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they nicely hate each other. Say, hey, how you doing? But whenever I can screw you, I will screw you. That's what it
Definitely.
is. Yeah, and it actually keeps the peace. It actually keeps the peace. So so that's why defense. That's why many governments, especially governments that have like nuclear weapons, they keep spending on defense. They keep spending on defense. They keep spending on defense. And that is even one of the reasons why North Korea never attacked the US.
But North Korea is overspending on national security. And
Yeah,
North
no, no.
Korea spends nothing on other kind of things. Their only focus is on national security, as far as I
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what I was saying, and that is the reason why North Korea was not able to attack the United States because because the US focus on defense, right? They focus on defense because if people are complaining, oh yeah, like, we spend too much on defense, but imagine we stop spending on defense because Kim Jong Un is waiting.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un is waiting.
Even China is waiting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the US and China never went to war because they both have nuclear weapons. Nuclear
Yeah.
weapons is the deal to keep the peace, because when you watch the explosion of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, oh my God,
Yeah.
the mushroom of smoke, and you drop that on human beings. Damn, that was
Horrible.
harsh, man. That was hard. Truman went a little too far there just to show how strong the US was. It was just too much.
Yeah, that was too much. And the last thing that I would like to ask you over here is that about unemployment.
Yeah.
That in the United States, when the COVID began, the unemployment rate was all time high historically. I read in the CNBC. So and after the when the Trump was about to the election was about to near, the unemployment was really low. That everyone, the statistics were saying that people now have job, uh, and the things are getting back to normal and also things. So what do you think about it? What do you think about unemployment? Why it is so important, and why the government should focus a lot more on unemployment?
Well, if there is no employment, there is no economy. Simple as that. People need to work to create wealth. As you saw, everybody was at home. Look at what happened. Unemployment tanked.
Yeah.
GDP went negative. Even the total GDP, so the trillions of dollars that the country produced every year, tanked. Everything tanked. So humans are the one that make the economy going.
Yeah.
You leaving your house in the morning to go to the office or to go to work and come back at night is why the economy is going. And when you saw in March, from March 2020 to January, February 2021, that was like 14, 15 months.
Yeah.
People were staying home, going crazy. Nothing was going on, to the point that we have to send stimulus checks twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That tells you everything you need. Like, employment is very important. Without employment, there is no economy. Of course, there will always be unemployment because everybody cannot be employed at the very same time.
Yeah.
It's impossible. That's why, for instance, you have someone who's going full time to school cannot be full time employed as well. Because
Yeah.
the way employment is measured is like the work you do full time. If you work less than 20 hours, you're not considered as employed, something like that. They have like some measurements to consider what employment is. But people who were full time employed were at home during COVID, and that significantly hurt the economy. But people who were in the tech industry, or people who have quantitative skills, it didn't matter. They're home, they have the computer, and they do their math, or they do the technology stuff, or they do the coding stuff. It didn't matter. But someone who studied history, okay, you study history. What job are you gonna do now? This
Yeah.
COVID. All museums are closed. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. So
So we can connect it with, as we just discussed back, that it's a K shape.
yeah, exactly. It's the K-shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a K-shape because COVID only benefited people who had quantitative skills. And that is what I did, in fact, during COVID. Because during COVID, I was laid off. I was working in sales. So what I did was I was taking math classes online through
Yeah.
Khan Academy. Have you heard of Khan Academy?
Yeah. Yeah. Khan Academy. I'm aware about that.
Oh yeah, I love Salman Khan. He's my man. He's great. He's the one who created things. Like, you see, Indian people, man, you guys are smart. You guys are like always focus on technology and data science. That's your thing.
Yeah.
And so and his classes are free online.
Yeah. It's
So
free, completely free.
right? And I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to train myself. So I started with pre-calculus, calculus one, calculus two, calculus three. Now I'm on calculus five. I have to do like some partial differential equations because my goal is to get into stochastic calculus, which is what they use in finance.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, for quantitative trading. And so I was training myself in that, and I trained myself in econometrics, all of that.
Yo.
Yeah. So when I started applying for jobs again in like September, I got one as a data analyst in December, in like late November.
Okay.
But if I didn't make the shift, because initially I studied political science, very
Which
qualitative,
has no relation with calculus.
all right? So if I didn't make the shift from qualitative to quantitative, I would have probably still been unemployed now.
Yeah.
It's so I now I'm part of the K shape. I'm part of the upside of the K
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
economy.
So I want to add one more point. It's
Yeah.
just a small advice from my side. As you become good at the mathematics, it allows you to be a good computer programmer as well, and which enables you to make tons of money
Uh,
because programming is completely based on logic that you need to have good at mathematics. So that is what just I know, that if you are good at mathematics, it becomes easier to become a good programmer.
yes, it's true, but I hate programming.
Okay.
As funny as sound, no, seriously, like there's nothing wrong with programming.
Yeah.
Um, it's just not my thing. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. I use R, the programming language software R.
Yeah.
I use it, but I don't like it because I'm a scholar. I write books to educate people. That's
Yeah.
what I do. You see what I mean? That's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't like because I could easily learn programming. All I have to do is to go on YouTube, type Python, uh, we call it Python lectures, and then for 6 hours you sit in front and you learn all the coding you need. I can do that, but I'm not passionate about coding. Even like all the regressions I used in my books are basically from Excel. I don't even
Okay.
use R like that. The reason why I use R was because I took my I did a certificate in statistics from Coursera, and you were compelled to use R. That's why. Otherwise, I would have never used those programming language thing. But
Okay.
if you're good at mathematics, absolutely you're good at programming.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's a continuation. The mathematics you focus on to do programming is called discrete mathematics,
Okay.
where the numbers are 0 and 1. That's why in programming you have 0, 1, the binary numbers inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
You use discrete mathematics to do that. At some point, I was even thinking of working as a quant. You know what quants are?
No, I am not aware about that.
So a quantitative analyst is a financial analyst. So is an analyst who works in the financial sector, specifically for banks, in mutual fund, hedge funds,
Okay.
and they use quantitative method to predict the market,
Oh,
where
I
the
see.
market will go. And those people are well paid. The problem is that if you want to work as a quant, you need they force you to use programming language.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
feel like learning coding like thoroughly. I don't. I'm not ready for that. What I like doing is doing classical econometrics, like doing my regressions to test economic variables, or using mathematics to develop a theory, and that's it. As I
So
said, I'm a scholar.
you
Yeah, go ahead.
love teaching about economics, mathematics, and all such things, rather
Yeah.
than focusing on capitalistic approach to
Oh
just
yeah.
become a coder, and you don't like that. You are just focusing on what you just love, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, don't get me. As I said, like, I can literally code if I want to. I just not passionate about.
Yeah.
But if I know that coding is required for me to make money, sure, I'll code. I don't mind coding. All I have to do is to probably go to a boot camp. It's intense. Bam, bam, bam. You become a data scientist. I can do that. But It's I'm an intellectual. I love like sitting down and thinking, writing books. That's what I do. That's where I develop. That's where I deploy my entire intellectual magnitude.
All right, all right. So finally, is there anything that you want to ask me?
Yeah. What do you do beside your podcast?
Yeah, basically, I'm an investment advisor. I advise regarding specifically mutual funds investment, that how one
Mm,
can invest in mutual funds and create wealth for the longer period of time. By understanding the risk taking ability, I advise them that you should invest in this type of mutual funds. You should avoid investing in these asset classes and also things. And apart from this, I also write and write content regarding personal finance, real estate, uh, and also things for the US clients. So if there is a financial consultant and money coach in the United States, he will approach me for the finance and real estate regarding content, and I sell my content, and it can be video and written words. So if for freelancing I do this, which is content writing and content writing regarding finance only. So this is what I do, and for a hobby I'm just doing the podcast. I'm meeting the people like you, having a huge knowledge of a specific field, and I love doing it, and I'm also learning a lot of things by doing this. So this is what I do.
this is awesome. Do you plan on turning your podcast into like an actual business, like an LLC or something?
I would love to do, but see, it's just a learning process. I'm just learning. I'm just focusing that how the journey goes. I'm just experimenting that if I'm good at podcasting or not, and what are the future potential of it, and can I make it as a professional business? How can I monetize it, and all the things that I'm doing. I'm just focusing on implementing, and then I will
Mhm.
just focus to fix that, can I do this or not. So this is what I that this is what the ultimate goal. And by doing this, the end goal is that if, let's say, if I'm good at financial consulting, I can do financial consultation by just a Zoom call like this. For one
Mm,
and 2 hour of consultation, I can make money out of that. So it
yep.
is a long term process, like 1 year, 2 year, and also things gradually. As soon as I learn, then it will become easier for me to consult.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Like that. Good to know.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. Sorry.
No, thank you for, as you say, thank you for having me on your platform. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you so
it was great having you on the show. I learned a lot about the US economy and overall economics as well, so it was great having you on my show.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, I mean, thank you so much.